Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining tonight, and welcome to the virtual public information meeting for State Project 103-283, which is the replacement of Bridge 00273, carrying Cranberry Pond Road over I-395 in the city of Norwich. My name is Subhash Thakal, and I am the project engineer with the Connecticut Department of Transportation Consulting Bridge Design Unit. On behalf of the project team, I would like to thank you all for attending today's presentation. We hope you find this presentation informative and that we can address any questions or concerns you may have. Available to those joining us tonight through Zoom is the option to view captions or subtitles. To turn on this feature, select the Show Captions button or the CC button at the bottom of your screen as shown on the presentation. Then select the Speaking Language button and then select the desired language. As part of the Title VI Civil Rights Act, no person shall, on the basis of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation or subject to discrimination in the development of this project. Additional information on the civil rights can be found on the link shown on the side. A link for voluntary post-meeting survey is also provided. We will greatly appreciate it if you could complete the survey after tonight's meeting. The results of the survey will help us improve these virtual public meetings going forward. Links to both the public survey and the civil rights are also available on the project webpage. This slide shows the Title VI notice to the public, which states that the Connecticut Department of Transportation, CTDOT, operates its programs and services without regard to race, color, and national origin in accordance with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. Any person who believes he or she has been aggrieved by any unlawful discriminatory practice under the Title VI may file a complaint with the CTDOT. This slide has the Title VI notice to the public in Spanish. I will pause on the screen briefly before moving on to the next slide. And just a reminder, a recording of this presentation will also be posted on YouTube after the event, which you can find linked to the project webpage as well. This presentation will end with a questions and answers session. Questions can be submitted in multiple ways. For the quickest response, please submit the questions to the Zoom Q&A. This feature will only be available during tonight's meeting. If you would like to submit your questions through email, please use the email provided on the screen, dotproject103-283@ct.gov. And if you prefer to submit your question by phone, you can leave a voicemail at 860-594-2020, now during the meeting or later. Please note we will be checking the voicemail periodically during the presentation so that we can address your comments and answer your questions. Please state your name, contact number, and reference the project number 103-283 as the reason for your call on the voicemail. The Q&A box and the voicemail will be screened by the project team, and the project team will then read the questions out loud. Questions may be asked anytime during the presentation, but they will be answered at the end. A recording of tonight's meeting will also be made available on the project webpage. The webpage will also include information on how to leave question and comment to the project team. The website is shown on the slide, which is https://portal.ct.gov/DOT Norwich 0103-0283. The question and comment period by email or phone will be open through July 27th, 2026. To use the Zoom Q&A feature, select the Q&A tool at the bottom of your Zoom webinar window. The Q&A window will open as seen on the right. Then you can type the question in the text box and then click enter, and it will submit the question. If you are an audio-only participant, please dial *9 to raise and lower your hand. I would now like to introduce the project team. First on the top row, we have from the Connecticut Department of Transportation, Derek Lessard, Division Chief of Bridges, and then Gregory Funk, the Principal Engineer. On the bottom left, we have Christopher Patria, the Supervising Engineer, and on the bottom right, myself, Subhash Thakal, the Project Engineer. VSB is working on the project as Department's Consultant Liaison Engineer, CLE. From VSB, we have Mark Levesque, the CLE Program Manager, and John Corelli, the CLE project engineer. RHS Consulting Design was selected as the design engineer for this project. I will now hand it over to John, who will begin the formal presentation for the bridge replacement project.
Thank you, Subhash, for that introduction. I'll now start to go into more of the design side of our project, and first we'll start with the project purpose and need. The purpose of this project is to replace Bridge 00273 due to its structural deficiencies in order to provide a structure that is in a state of good repair, is capable of meeting current load rating and highway design standards, and improves the vertical clearance to I-395. Bridge 273 is located approximately 3/4 of a mile south of the interchange with Route 2 is the local road that goes Cranberry Pond Road, which goes over 395. Here's an aerial view of our bridge, Bridge 273. As you can see, the bridge itself is significantly wider than both of the approaches. You'll note there's a curve here on the west approach, and it also narrows down here to the east approach for Cranberry Pond Road. It spans the entirety of I-395, which I-395 has 2 lanes of traffic in both direction in this section. Here are a few photos from the bridge itself. On the left side is the west approach from the bridge. As you can see off in the distance is where we have that sharp curve to the right. You can see how significantly wider the bridge itself is compared to the approaches. And just a few things to note, it's on this north side of the bridge. There are utility poles with some overhead utilities. Photo here on the right is the east approach from the bridge. Again, you note the utilities. Again, it narrows down to a smaller cross section off in the distance. This is our bridge looking from Interstate I-395. As you can see in both the elevations, there are 2 lanes of traffic in each direction. The bridge itself is 2 spans with a reinforced concrete pier in the median of I-395. Standard steel girder bridge with protective fencing as the standard for over an interstate. One important thing to note here in our south elevation is this vertical clearance sign. Currently it is posted for 13 feet 11, which is substandard for interstate vertical clearance. So that'll be one of our aims to improve with this project. As you can see here, north elevation just from the other side of the bridge. Our bridge was constructed in 1958. Here's a photo in the upper right-hand corner of what it looks like from underneath, a typical structure type. Provides a total travelway width currently of 40 feet, which allows for 1 travel lane in each direction for an average daily traffic of 537 vehicles. The posted speed is currently 25 miles an hour for Cranberry Pond Road in the vicinity of the bridge. Structure, again, as you can see in the upper right here, in the corner, it consists of steel girders. It's 2 spans. You can see the reinforced concrete pier here at the lower edge of the photo. And 2 spans relatively the same length, a little bit more than 93 feet, and then a little bit more than 89 for the other. For the existing bridge condition, you'll see the deck itself, which is this portion here, is rated 6 on a scale of 0 to 9. The steel girders, which you can see have a little bit of rusting throughout. There's more pronounced rusting here at the ends of the beams over the piers and the abutments. Here in the lower right-hand corner is a photo showing the deterioration in one location. As you can see, there's a small perforation there as well. That's what contributes to its lower rating of 4, and one of the reasons why it's up for replacement. The substructure, which consists of the reinforced concrete piers and abutments, which the steel structure sits on, is also rated a 6. As shown earlier in the photos, this bridge is currently posted for the vertical clearance over I-395, which is substandard. Next, I'll go through what we're proposing to replace this structure with. This is an elevation section of the proposed bridge. As you know, from the existing area, you'll see that the bridge is significantly wider than what both of the approaches are. For the proposed bridge, we're going to go back with something slightly narrower, which still meets current design standards. This will eliminate future maintenance costs, unnecessary future maintenance costs. So we'd be going back with a 10-foot travel lane and a 5-foot shoulder in each direction for a total travelway width of 30 feet. Standard reinforced concrete parapets with protective fencing, which is typical over interstate highways. Standard membrane waterproofing for a long-term protection of the concrete deck. And with this type of superstructure, we're going to make it continuous all the way across, which helps eliminate joints and eliminating any potential water infiltration and, again, reducing future maintenance costs. So we'll get a longer lasting structure. We're going to be replacing the entirety of the substructure elements. So we're going to get new reinforced concrete abutments at both sides, and then a new new reinforced concrete pier as well in the center median. Looking in plan, in order for us to improve the vertical clearance to I-395, we're going to have to slightly raise the roadway approximately about 9 inches over the bridge. So a very small raise. With that, it means some of the approaches, the embankments will have to be regraded. Since we're making the approaches a little bit narrower than the existing, it's a little bit of a trade-off in terms of the footprint. So you see here, our grading here is in brown. Our proposed new roadway width here in a darker gray, our new structure here in orange. The red lines represent the right-of-way. And on here is marked also too, the utility lines that run along the north edge of the bridge. So as I mentioned, we'll be raising the roadway or regrading the approaches, redoing the drainage in the vicinity of the bridge. There'll be standard guide rail attachments at all 4 corners of the bridge, as well as adjacent to I-395 where appropriate. And all the bridge components will be replaced. To complete this work, we will actually be doing this under a complete detour, which for this particular project is proposed to be 2.6 miles. Our bridge here at the bottom, Bridge 273 here at the bottom, we would utilize a detour of Cranberry Pond Road. The remainder of it are North Wauwakis Hill Road, Rogers Road, Browning Road, Wauwakis Street, Otrobando Avenue, McClellan Avenue, and Cranberry Pond Road again to get us back to the other side of the bridge. In total, the detour length is 2.6 miles, consisting of all local roads. The detour duration would be for the duration of the construction, which is the 2 years. So it'll allow the contractor to completely remove the bridge and do all the work that they need to in the fastest, most convenient method possible. For I-395, we are looking to have shoulder closures, no adjustment in the level of service there, just providing barrier for the contractor space for them to work and barrier for their protection while doing the work. Again, the duration of this detour would be for the 2 years, full 2 construction seasons. Some other project considerations for this site are utilities. As I mentioned, there are overhead utilities on the north edge of roadway that will have to be relocated for the contractor to complete the work. They'll be able to be replaced back afterwards. For rights of way, the entirety of the existing and proposed structures are within the current state's right of way, so there are no proposed right of way impacts. For environmental permits, since there are no wetlands or water courses within the project limits, there are no environmental permits anticipated for this project. Next, going over the current construction costs and project schedule. At the moment, this project is estimated to cost $14 million, which will consist of 80% federal funds and 20% state funds. And looking at the project schedule, which is always subject to the availability of state and federal funds, we're looking at a design completion date right now of January 19th, 2028, which will allow us to advertise the project on February 16th, 2028, and then begin construction later that year in the summer of 2028 with an anticipated completion also during this summer of 2030. So right now I'll hand it over to Mark, who's going to help us get through the next phase of our presentation for the Q&A.
Thank you, John and Suvash. My name is Mark Levesque, and I'm the project manager with VHB, and I'm going to be the MC for the evening. First of all, we'd like to thank everybody for joining us, whether it be on Zoom tonight, listening by phone, or watching the recording later on YouTube. The purpose of this meeting is to provide the public with an overview of the project, to get feedback, and answer any questions you may have. With that being said, we're now going to have a live question and answer session with the design team available to answer any questions. There are 3 ways you can ask a question. We went over this before, but I want to go over it one more time. That's by email. It's dotproject103-283@ct.gov. Second is by voicemail. The phone number is 860-594-2020. We ask that you include the project number in your voicemail so that voicemail gets to the appropriate project team. And lastly, we have a live Q&A session on Zoom. There should be a Q&A button. Just pop it open, type your question, hit enter, and we'll answer it live during this meeting. We're going to be checking the voicemail and email throughout the meeting, and we'll try to answer if possible. But the email and voicemail will be available through July 27th, 2026. So that's 2 weeks from today. With that being said, I don't see any questions right now, but we'll give it a few minutes. For those that are live on Zoom, the easiest way to ask your question, like I said, is through that Q&A button. You can also ask the other ways by email or voicemail, but the Q&A right now is live. Looks like we did get a question. Can you talk a little more about the proposed bridge width and the approach roadway? John, can you take that question?
Yeah, Mark, I can take that for you. I'll just read it. Can you talk a little bit more about the approach bridge width and the approach roadway? Looking at, I'll go back to our initial slide with the statistics of the existing bridge. So the existing bridge had a full travelway width of 40 feet. This was when it was originally installed. Don't know if there was at the time, if there were thoughts of it would possibly, Cranberry Pond Road would possibly expand like west or east, because it seems like they constructed some additional bridge width than what is necessary. So what we're proposing to go back with is what is standard for this level of service for this roadway, which is 2 10-foot travel lanes and 2 5-foot shoulders. So this matches current design standards. This allows us to go back with a smaller bridge, which both reduces the overall bridge costs and it's less bridge to maintain in the future. Also ends up being a smaller footprint. So with the approach roadway work, we're slightly raising the roadway. It's only about 9 inches. Given that we're also making the roadway a little narrower, there's not that much difference in terms of like the overall footprint of the roadway. So we will tie in the raised roadway, the narrower but raised roadway, and at the most reasonable spot on both ends. And I know that there's one or two driveways in the vicinity to that, and that would provide a natural transition to those driveways. Also, I'll go back to the plan view. So there's one driveway here in the northwest corner. There's ample amount of state right away for us to be able to take care of all these activities for grading. So there's no real concern about that. So we'll do whatever is necessary and best for the project to make to go with what makes the most sense overall.
Thanks, John. That's a great question. And, when we inherited this project, we did notice that the bridge roadway itself was overly wide for the road, as John had stated. Do want to make it clear that we're meeting design standards with our proposed width, and it's still going to be wider than the approaches, pretty significantly. I think John may have said that, but I just want to reiterate that. So we're not making the bridge very narrow. It's still going to be as wide as it needs to be for the level of service it sees. So thank you for that question. It's a great question. I do want to remind everyone about the project webpage. I did add it to the chat. It's listed right there, portal.ct.gov /DOT Norwich 0103-0283. You can go to that webpage. You can find the email and the phone number there if you don't remember it. And I think the recording of this is going to be on YouTube recorded, and you'll be able to watch this whole presentation at a later time. And that link will be on that project webpage. I also want to bring up the voluntary survey. That's also in the chat. If you can fill that out, that would be great. That'll help us improve these meetings in the future. That also will be available, I believe, on the webpage. Again, we'll stay on until all the questions we receive are answered. Give you a few minutes. I do want to note we are monitoring the email and phone number, voicemail while this meeting is ongoing. Did get another question. With houses nearby, do you anticipate lots of construction noise? John, do you want to take that one?
Sure. Since there'll be a typical noise associated with the construction zone. With this right now, we feel like the contract has a fairly favorable schedule in terms of the amount of time that we're giving them, which typically means that they'll be doing the majority of the construction during normal business hours during the day. The only possible exceptions where they might be doing something slightly different is when they're removing those steel girders that are over I-395. Typically, they'll do those with short-term closures just at night. So it's usually probably since they're on both sides, it'll probably be like maybe two or three nights where they'll have to go and pick and place the new girders. That's the only time that you probably see something outside of normal work hours for work. But again, since we're given the contract of the full 2 seasons, it's a fairly flexible schedule for them to work as needed.
Thanks, John. And I believe per the Connecticut Department of Transportation specifications, I think they're limited to 90 decibels. And I think what I've heard is that the equivalent of a lawnmower. So not sure if that's exactly equivalent, but I think 90 decibels is what they're limited to. Okay, since there are no more questions I'm seeing live, I think it's a good time to end our presentation. As a reminder, you can still ask the questions through email or voicemail for the next 2 weeks, ending on July 27, 2026, and the design team will respond. A reminder, recording of the presentation will be available on YouTube after this meeting, and you'll be able to find the project email, voicemail number, and the recorded YouTube live presentation at the project webpage, portal.ct.gov/DOT Norwich 0103-0283. We'd like to thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us. We really appreciate getting your questions and your feedback. Thank you, and